And when you get to the ranch, if you rented an RV camper, it'll be either one of those two. And you can park right here in front of the ranch if you're staying overnight and there's nobody here to help you. Feel free to walk inside the door. Washroom just inside. Make yourself at home. Rooms are to the right. Great rooms to the left in there. Everything you need. We're gonna go over what to wear. The reason we wear cowboy boots is for two reasons. The point on the boot helps you get your foot into the stirrup, and the heel on the boot makes sure that your foot doesn't go through the stirrup. So you don't want your foot to ever be caught in the stirrup. While you're riding, you just keep the balls of your feet in the stirrup, and that's why you wear footwear with a heel. Obviously not everybody has footwear with a heel, but that's the purpose of it. You risk either putting your foot through the stirrup and having it hung up if you don't have a heel, and if your toe is too big, it could also just get caught in the stirrup. Stop it now. If you have your own helmets, bring them. You don't have to wear a helmet. It's obviously recommended. What I don't recommend is getting some big cowboy hat that you found in a beer box at the dollar store, because those always end up on the trail. If you're going to wear a hat, make sure it's going to stay on your head. Obviously the weather can be prepared for any weather. It could be raining, it could be sunny, have sunscreen, bug spray, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, bring a rain jacket as well. Okay, if you're bringing a lunch or snacks or anything on the trail, your water bottle, always bring a water bottle. We're gonna put everything in these saddle bags. Not every horse will have a saddle bag, but we'll put lunches, snacks, water bottles in saddle bags, not in backpacks. So to check your stirrup length, put the stirrup in your armpit, and you want your fingers to land somewhere where your hip bone's gonna be. So these stirrups fit me right here. That's what I like them. You can also put your finger to this conch here, then it's gonna at least be close. Also, the guide's gonna help you on your horse. However, if you're ever getting on a horse at any time for any reason, you always wanna make sure and check that the cinch is tight. This one isn't. They usually aren't, so you want to tighten it up. All right, your guide will help you on your horse. Usually when we start off, we mount from the mounting block because it's just less pressure pulling sideways. The more you pull sideways on a horse from the ground in the busy season, the harder it is on their withers. So we like to use the mounting block at first. The guide will hold the stirrup on the other side so that there's not too much sideways pressure on. When you get up onto your horse, you want to ease yourself into the saddle. Don't just plop down on the horse's back. Same reason. Try to be gentle on our horses. You grab your reins. The guide will tie your lead shank up to your horn. If this ever comes untied, you have to make a knot, just like this here. And you tie it in a knot. Double knot, because this is a long lead rope. Don't tie your reins into the knot or the horse's hair. And you're good to go. Okay, to get your horse to go, you kick your heels and click your teeth like this. If they're not going, you click louder, kick harder. In combination with the sound and the kick, that's the best way to do it. Now to turn your horse, most of them direct rein, meaning if you want to go to the right, you pull the right rein. If you're pulling like this and your reins are too loose, they're not going to turn. You'll have to reach up about as far as you can reach and pull. Another thing to assist in your turning is leg pressure. So if I want to go to the left here this way, I got to think about which way do I want to push the horse. So I'll put pressure on my right leg and push the horse to the left. Got an itchy leg. And I'll push the horse to the left along with pulling on this rein, and then we'll do a circle to the left. You can turn to the left. And then as you're going, if you want to stop, you just pull back and say whoa. Nice calm whoa. As soon as you're stopped, you relax the pressure on your reins. You should only be pulling if you're turning, slowing down, stopping, or pulling up if they're eating grass on the trail. We'd prefer them not to eat grass on the trail. They have the other 20 hours of a day to eat grass in the pasture. So as you're riding, you want to make sure that your saddle is straight. Best way to do that is to look down the mane of the horse and make sure the pommel is right in the center. If your saddle starts leaning to one side or the other, you'll want to put pressure in the opposite stirrup and jerk the saddle over back into the center. It's going to take quite a bit of pressure. The cinches are tight. If it keeps sliding, let us know. Maybe your cinch is loose a little bit. We might have to stop and tighten it up. So on the hills, when you're going up a hill, you'll lean forward, just like if you're biking or walking. When you go down the hill, you lean backwards. Your feet will naturally come forwards and go down the hill. Always stay center of gravity, just like a plumb bob, going up or down hills. Your horses all walk at a different pace, so you will get gaps in the line. They'll trot to catch up. Again, just hold on to the horn, put some pressure in your toes. Try not to bounce too much. Move with the saddle if you can. The less bouncing there is, the easier it is on your horse's back, especially throughout the summer when we're doing a lot of rides. As we're riding, it's good practice to keep your heels lower than your toes. That way, it sits you back in the saddle a little better, and as well, your feet will always be able to come out of the stirrups in case you lose your stirrup or whatever have you. So as you're riding, again, you want to keep a loose rein on your horse, only pulling back when you're stopping or slowing down, or if he's trying to eat grass. But never use these reins for balance is another thing. So as you're riding, if you feel like you're off balance, the horses will trot to catch up if there's a big gap. Just hold on to the horn. That way you can balance yourself. Don't use the reins as balance if you feel like you're off balance. Just use the horn. So the horses will find their place in line. Some horses get along better with others. Now, you'll find out as you're riding if your horse is pinning its ear back to the horse behind it. You might have to switch up the lineup, especially if they get kicked or whatever happens. The best way to switch a horse in the lineup is not to pull back and try to have the other horse pass you, because horses don't like to be passed. So the easiest way is, as you're in the lineup, you do a circle as you're walking, and then you have the horse behind you pass, and then you tuck back in behind the horse that was behind you and keep going. That's the easiest way. Same thing if your horse is walking off in this direction and you're pulling back and it's still trying to go there, just turn it in a circle. That's the easiest way to have a horse, well, not take off that way on you. Turn them in a circle. So as you're riding, keep your reins level. You don't want one tight one, one short one. You want the right tension on your reins. So as you're riding, you want a nice loop at the bottom, but you also want tension when you pull back. If you pull back and you're not getting any tension, obviously your reins are too long, so you choke up. Don't ever drop your reins. If you do, reach up and grab them on the horse's neck. Otherwise, they're going to flip over the horse's head when they go down to eat some grass. They're going to step on the rein, and that could hurt their mouth with the bit in their mouth. Also, if you're ever getting off your horse, you want to make sure that your reins go behind the horn. That way, same reason. They don't put their head down, have the reins fall over, and step on them. So the guides will help you on and off of your horses. If you do have horse experience or you're confident, I know a lot of people like to get on and off themselves sometimes. The main concern is that your foot gets out of the stirrup. So you can do one of two things. You just make sure that the toe of your foot is in the stirrup when you go to get off, because the worst thing is to have your foot hung up here, you fall over backwards, scares the horse, and, you know, the horse could walk away and your foot's caught in the stirrup. So you can either, and the other way to do it is to take both feet out of the stirrups, put your leg over the back, slowly slide down. That way you know you're not going to get your feet hung up. And then always remember, put the reins up over the horn. Now, if you're going to try to tie your own knot, it has to be a slip knot. If you don't know how to do a slip knot, just let your guide tie to the tree, because we prefer all the horses to be tied with a slip knot. Easiest way to do that, I mean, you can Google it, or you make a donut, go over this side, slide it through, and you got yourself a slip knot. That way you can just pull it and walk away. That's how we want them tied. So these two little tufts of fur on the top of the horse's head are its ears. So if you scream, it can hear you, and it's not going to like it. Screaming doesn't have a calming effect on horses. Let's try. See, they don't like that. So try to prevent screaming, because they don't like that. Right, Siraj? So your rain jackets will just tie to the back of the saddle. Jackets, rain jackets, whatever. Don't tie them around your waist. A lot of times they'll fall off. And as we're riding, if it starts to rain, you want to put your rain jacket on, let the guide know we can stop, because if you just in the middle of a ride whip out a big rain jacket, it could scare your horse, you know what I mean? And just be aware of your horse when you're putting your rain jacket on. They're typically really good, but again, going like this behind a horse can sometimes, you know, they might, whatever, take a few quick steps on you. So you just want to be aware of that. And bingo, there's trail mix in my rain jacket. Very good snack to bring on the trail. Everyone likes trail mix, unless you're allergic to nuts or something. Let's go. So, coyotes are howling. So the horses generally aren't scared of bears and bison and all that stuff. We see them quite regularly on the trail. Rough grouse are actually worse because they'll fly upright as you're getting to them. Wasps are the biggest fear on the trail, especially this year when it was dry and hot out. Hopefully next. Sometimes your horse will stop on the trail to use the bathroom. Just lean forward slightly, take the pressure off their kidneys. Let your guide know, or else there'll be a great big gap in the line. You don't want your guide to get too far away from you, or else you'll have to trot or canter to catch up. And if you're not comfortable with trotting and cantering, then it's not an ideal situation. So try not to get too far behind. If you start falling way too far behind, let your guide know. If your horse is trying to eat on the trail, we don't want that. They have the other 20 hours of the day to eat. So just give them a good pull up and give them a kick. Keep them going in line, because you don't want to fall too far back with your horse eating. It's a bad habit, and a lot of people have been letting their horses eat. We just want to try to break them of that bad habit. So give a good pull up, give a kick, stay in line, don't fall too far behind. And after we give you instruction, your stirrups feel nice and even, you feel comfortable, you can stand up and just get a little bit of clearance under you, between you and the saddle, and we're off on the trail. Thanks for coming. Y'all have yourself a fine day.